Hello students. So in the last class we have discussed regarding the human circulatory system. So in that we have studied in detail structure of human heart and what are the parts which are associated with the human heart, like the human chambers of the heart and the walls and all. Then how the regulation of heartbeat will takes place we have studied, and the cardiac cycle in detail we have studied. Then apart from this we have also discussed regarding the blood vessels. That is three types of blood vessels we have studied, that is arteries, veins and the capillaries and their functions. Okay, so in today's class we'll discuss the another most interesting concept, that is ECG. Okay, ECG and double circulation. Then we'll move on to the last content, that is the disorders. Fine, we'll see one by one. So first we'll discuss regarding the ECG. So you already know that what is ECG and what purpose the ECG is used, right? ECG, it is one of the most simple and it is a painless test which is used to determine the function or the electrical activities or the normal function of the heartbeat. Fine. So again here generally in the ECG the graph is open, that is the paper sheet will get, in that the graph will be there. Okay, this graph you can see in this image how the graph is. It is represented by P wave, Q, R, S and the T waves. Okay, so these are the waves. Generally it will represent the electrical activity of the heart at every heartbeat. Okay, it is an instrument which is used to measure the electrical activities or the rhythmic activity of the heart every heartbeat. Fine. So again here the spreadsheet, generally the graph which is obtained in this spreadsheet, or any defects in this graph, then it will determine the abnormality in the heartbeat. Fine. So again here, that is the electrical signals generally that spreads through the heart. It causes the contract and pump the blood. Fine, it will contract and pump the blood, and the process repeats with every heartbeat. Okay, this process it will repeat at every heartbeat. Fine. So we'll see what is the definition of ECG and what are its functions. So this is the graphical representation of ECG, and this is the graph what we get through this instrument. So ECG, it is a graphical representation of electrical changes that accompany through the cardiac cycle. So you already know what do you mean by cardiac cycle. Last class we have already discussed in detail. Fine. So what is ECG? It is an electrical representation of electrical changes. So it is a graphical representation. ECG is a graphical representation of electrical changes that accompany in the cardiac cycle. Okay, these changes can be recorded with the help of an apparatus which is called as electrocardiograph. So generally it is mentioned by the instrument which is known as electrocardiograph, and this is a graph which is obtained in this ECG. Fine, this is how this paper, the spread paper will be. Fine. So again here the normal ECG, it is composed of three waves. One is P wave, Q, R, S wave and T waves. Okay, so among these three, Q, R, S, it is commonly known as the complex wave. Fine. Why it is known as complex, we will see now. So P waves, P wave, it is a small upward wave. So here you can see that P wave, it is a small one, it is an upward wave. So what does it represent? It represents the electrical excitation or the depolarization of the atria. It represents the excitation of the auricles. It means auricles, which leads to the contraction of both the atria, both the auricles. It leads to the contraction of both the auricles. It is caused by the activation of SA node, that is sinoatrial node. Activation of sinoatrial node, it leads to the contraction of both the auricles during the P waves. Then next comes the QRS wave. So during this QRS wave, it begins at the small downward deflection, that is R wave. It continues as a large upright. Okay, large upright wave, here it is here. Q, it is downward, and large upright wave, that is R, it is here. Then it comes to the downward, yes. Then the triangular wave ending the downward wave is that is the S at the base. Fine. So here you can see it begins at the small downward deflection. Q is at the small and R is at the upright, large upright, and the S is at the downward. Fine. So Q, R, S, it is a complex It's a complex and it represents the depolarization of ventricles. QRS, it represents the depolarization of ventricles, and P, it will represents the depolarization of auricles, and it will represent the depolarization of ventricles, which initiates the ventricular contraction. Here it will initiate the contraction of both the auricles, and here it will initiate the contraction of the ventricles. The contraction starts shortly after the Q and makes beginning of the systole. Fine. Then the T wave represents the return of the ventricles from the excited to the normal state, that is a repolarization. The end of the T wave marks the end of the systole. Here this indicates the depolarization of auricles and depolarization of ventricles, and last comes the repolarization. It comes to the normal position. Fine. This is the P wave, this is the PE wave, then this is QRS wave, the more complex wave, then this is the T waves. That is here depolarization of auricles will take place, and here depolarization of ventricles will take place, and here in the T wave depolarization of ventricles, repolarization of ventricles will takes place at the end. Fine. In the T waves, it represents the ventricles from the excited to the normal state, that is a repolarization. T wave makes an end of the systole. Okay. Next, the heartbeat of an individual can be determined by the counting the number of QRS complexes that occurs in the given period of time. So generally one heartbeat, the heartbeat rate of an individual can be determined by counting the number of QRS complex waves. Okay. Since the ECG obtained from the different individuals, they have roughly the same shape for given, it leads to the configuration. ECG, the graph representation will be generally same. If any deviation from this shape, any deviation occurs in this shape, then it indicates the possible of abnormalities or the diseases. Fine. If the ECG, that is a representation, is normal, if it is same, then there will be no problem. If there is any deviation in the graphical representation, that it indicates that there is a possible of abnormalities or the diseases. Fine. Then next comes the enlargement in Q and R wave. It indicates the myocardial infarction. So myocardial infarction, it is nothing but it is mainly leads to the blockage of blood flow to the heart muscles. Blockage of blood flow to the heart muscles. Fine. Then the T wave is a flat when the heart muscles receives an insufficient oxygen, as in the other sclerotic heart disease. Leads to the it receives generally insufficient oxygen. Fine. It may be seen elevated when the body's potassium level is increased. Fine. So that's about the ECG. So electrocardiogram. ECG, what do you mean by ECG? ECG, it is a graphical representation of electrical changes that accompany the cardiac cycle. So the instrument which is used to measure the ECG, it is commonly known as electrocardiograph. So it is a graphical representation. So these are the functions of three different parts, that is P wave, QRS wave and the T waves. Fine. So next we'll move on to the double circulation. So double circulation, the name itself tells double circulation. Double means twice. 2 times the blood will enter the heart and it will leave the heart twice. Okay. Double circulation is nothing but it is a passage of blood twice in the heart through separate pathways. Twice the blood will enter the heart and it will leave the heart in 2 separate pathways. For completing one cycle, to complete one cardiac cycle, the blood will enter twice the heart and it will leave the heart. Fine. And it is present in the lungs, in the lungfish. So it is present in lungfish, amphibians, birds, reptiles and man. Whereas the atriovenous heart means where it receives both venous and the deoxygenated and the atrial or the oxygenated blood is present. Double circulation, it consists of pulmonary and the systematic circulation. So again you have to keep in mind the definition of double circulation and the 2 types of double circulation. So double circulation is nothing but the passage of blood twice in the heart. Fine. So again here in double circulation we will be dealing with 2 types. One is pulmonary circulation and another one is the systemic circulation. So we'll see in detail what are the changes will take place during the pulmonary and the systemic circulation. Okay, so this is a diagrammatic representation of double circulation. So you can see here, this is a complete right port, that is auricular part, and here it is a ventricles, and the right portion, always keep in mind the right portion will carry the deoxygenated blood, and the right portion will always supply the deoxygenated blood, and the right will carry the deoxygenated and the left portion will carry the oxygenated blood. Fine. So I will come to this diagram later. Just let me explain you what do you mean by double circulation in detail. Fine. So double circulation, we'll be dealing with two steps. One is pulmonary circulation and another one is the systemic circulation. So first one is a pulmonary circulation. So pulmonary circulation, the right portion of the heart collects the impure blood. The right portion of the heart will collects the impure blood, that is deoxygenated blood, from the different parts of the body and sends it to the lungs. Okay, so what happens in pulmonary circulation? In pulmonary circulation, the right part of the heart, it will collects the deoxygenated blood from the body and sends it to the lungs for the purification, so that the right portion, that is impure blood, is present, and the circulation, it takes place between the heart and the lungs. Pulmonary circulation, it will carries the deoxygenated blood. So here what happens, the circulation will takes place between the heart and the lungs. Okay, then the left portion of the heart, it takes the pure blood from the lungs. The left portion of the heart, it takes the pure blood from the lungs and distributes it to the whole body. It will distribute the pure blood to the different parts of the body. So in the left portion, the pure blood present and the circulation will takes place between the heart and the body. Okay, this is called a systemic circulation, and this is known that circulation which takes place between the heart and the lungs is known as pulmonary circulation. Fine. So in systemic circulation, the oxygenated blood entering the aorta is carried by the network of the arteries. What happens in systematic? The oxygenated blood entering the aorta is carried by the network of the arteries and the arterioles, and the capillaries of the tissues from where the deoxygenated blood is collected by the system of the veins and the vena cava. They are emptied into the right auricles, that is right atrium. Fine. So hope you understood what is the definition of pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation, it will carries the deoxygenated blood, that is impure blood. So again, this impure blood, it is carried out by the right part of the heart. Here the circulation, it will takes place between the heart and the lungs. Fine. So in systemic circulation, what happens here? The left part of the heart, it will carries the oxygenated blood, and here the circulation, it will takes place between the heart and the body. So it is known as systemic circulation. So next, in systemic circulation, it provides the nutrients, oxygen and other essential substances to the tissues, and it takes carbon dioxide and other harmful substances away for the elimination. Okay, so in systemic, what happens, apart from the circulation, it will also provides the nutrients, oxygen and other essential substances to the tissues, and it takes the carbon dioxide and other harmful substances away for the elimination. So in the left ventricles of the heart, it pumps the oxygenated blood. The left carotid systemic aorta, it is the largest blood vessel of the body. After ascending from the heart, the systemic aorta, it turns to the descends down to the level and the lower the border of the fourth lumbar vertebrae. At its distal extremity, it bifurcates into the right and the left common iliac arteries. Again here the systemic aorta has the following parts, that is the ascending aorta and the descending aorta. So what happens here? In the ascending aorta, it gives off left and the right coronary arteries. In ascending aorta, it gives off left and the right coronary arteries. In descending aorta, the aorta turns towards the back of the heart and finally convert into the dorsal aorta. Okay, the ascending dorsal aorta is called as thoracic aorta in the thoracic region, and abdominal aorta in the abdominal region. Fine. Okay, so here you can see that the right portion of the heart, it will carry the impure blood. Fine. From the superior vena cava, the impure blood will enter into the right auricles. From right auricles, it is carried to the right ventricles. From the right ventricles to the pulmonary veins, it is carried. So through the pulmonary arteries, it is carried to the lungs for the purification. So in the lungs, the blood will get purified. Then after purification, again the oxygenated blood from the lungs, it is carried through the pulmonary veins. From the pulmonary veins, it will enter into the left auricle. From the left auricle, it is carried to the left ventricles. From the left ventricles, it is carried to the aorta, that is to the dorsal aorta. From the dorsal aorta, it is supplied to the different parts of the body. That is upper parts of the body and lower parts. To different parts, the blood will be circulated. So here you can see that twice the blood will enter into the heart and it will leave the heart. Once the oxygenated blood and the other one is the deoxygenated blood. So this complete, we call it as a double circulation. So this we know it is called as double circulation. Fine. So in double circulation we have studied two. One is the pulmonary circulation and the one is the systemic circulation. Fine. So again here, that is the venous system, and these are the few terms where you have to know. So what do you mean by venous system? The venous system originates in the tissues by the union of capillaries and ends in the atrium of the heart. Venous system, it originates in the tissues by union of capillaries and it ends in the atrium by the heart, and it includes two major veins. One is superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. These two are the two venous system. So we'll see one by one what are its functions and all. Superior vena cava is a single vein which is formed by the union of right and the left bronchohepatic hepatolymph. Okay, it collects the blood from the head, neck, arm and the chest region. Superior vena cava here, the blood is collected from the different parts like heart, neck, arms and the chest region. When it comes to the inferior vena cava is the largest vein. It is originated in the inferior lumbar region by the union of right and the left common iliac veins. Fine. So again here it will opens into the right auricles and separate the opening. So generally this superior vena cava, it will collect the blood from all body structures below the diaphragm. From all the body structures below the diaphragm, it will collect the blood. That is superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, which two comes under the venous system. Okay. So next comes the coronary circulation. So coronary circulation, what do you mean by coronary circulation? It is a flow of oxygenated blood from descending aorta to the heart muscles. Flow of oxygenated blood from the descending aorta to the heart muscles, and it returns the deoxygenated blood from the heart muscles to the right auricles. From heart muscles to the right auricles in return. Fine. Next comes the portal system. So what do you mean by portal system? In this system, the vein starts from the capillaries and ends in the capillaries. Portal system, it will start from the capillaries and it will end in the capillaries. So when this venous blood is collected from some part of the body, it is redistributed by the capillaries in some region instead of being retained directly to the heart. It's commonly known as portal system. So in the portal system, again we have got different types. One is renal portal system, hepatic portal system and hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. Fine. So what is portal system? Here you can see that in this portal system, the venous blood is collected from some part of the body. Okay, the blood is collected from different parts of the body and it is redistributed by the capillaries in some other organs instead of being written directly to the heart. Fine. So we will see one by one what are its types and their function. So first comes the renal portal system. So people heard that renal portal system. Fine. So renal portal system, in this system, the vein collects the blood from the posterior part of the body and the lungs. Fine. So what happens in renal portal system? Vein collects the blood from posterior part of the body and the lungs and enter into the kidney. So this vein, it is commonly known as renal portal system. It is associated with the kidneys. Fine. Now these veins, they divide into the capillaries and forms the renal portal system. It divides into capillaries and it will form the renal portal system. This system is found in the lower vertebrates like amphibians, fishes, etc., and it is absent in the human beings and the rabbits. So renal portal system generally it is seen in the lower amphibians and the fishes, where here in this system what happens, the blood is collected from the posterior part of the body and the lungs and it enters into the kidney. Fine. Next comes the hepatic portal system. So again here the hepatic portal system, it is a unique vascular connection exists between the digestive tract and the liver, which is called as hepatic portal system. If it is associated with kidney, it is known as renal portal system. When it is associated with the digestive tract and the liver, it is known as hepatic portal system. So in hepatic portal system, what happens in hepatic portal, this veins carries blood from the intestine to the liver before it is delivered to the systemic circulation. Before entering into systemic circulation, it is carried to the liver. Okay. So again here it is found in all the vertebrates. In this system, veins which collects blood from the digestive and absorptive part of the alimentary canal and enters into the liver. This is called as hepatic portal vein. The blood from the digestive and absorptive parts of the alimentary canal enter into the liver. Here the veins, it will enter into the liver. Thus it is called as the hepatic portal vein. Now in liver, it divides into the capillaries and forms the hepatic portal system. Fine. So these are the different portal systems, which is made up of 4 veins. Okay, just you can have a glance. Lienogastric vein, it collects the blood from the stomach and the spleen. Duodenal vein, it carries blood from pancreas and duodenum. Anterior mesenteric vein collects blood from ileum, cecum and colon. Posterior mesenteric vein collects blood from the rectum and the anus. Okay, so that's about the hepatic portal system, renal portal system. And next comes the disorders. Okay, hope it is clear regarding the double circulation and hepatic portal system, renal portal system. Fine. So next we'll move on to the last part of this chapter, that is the disorders. So what are the disorders which are associated with the circulatory system? Fine. So again here in the disorders of circulatory system, so first comes the high BP, that is high blood pressure, which we commonly call it as the hypertension. Fine. So high BP is a term for blood pressure that is higher than the normal. So you already know that how the blood pressure or the BP is measured and what is the normal range of blood BP. In the last class we have already discussed. So normal BP, it is about 120 by 80 mmHg. Fine. So in this measurement of 120 mmHg, mmHg, it is nothing but the millimeters of mercury pressure. Millimeters of mercury pressure. 120 mmHg is a systolic or pumping pressure, and 180 mmHg is the diastolic, or it is commonly known as resting pressure, systolic and diastolic. So systolic range will be 120 mmHg and diastolic is the 80 mmHg. So 120 by 80 mmHg is the normal blood pressure of the healthy adults. Fine. So when we say the blood pressure is high, if the repeated checks, the blood pressure of an individual is about 140 by 90, 140 by 90 or higher, then it shows as a hypertension, that is the high BP if it extends above the 140 by 90. Fine. So that's first one is the high blood pressure or the high BP. Second one is CAD, that is coronary artery disease. So again this CAD, that is coronary artery disease, it is often referred to as a arteriosclerosis. It affects the vessels that supply the blood to the heart. So generally here the blood vessels will get affect. So generally through the blood vessels only the blood will be supplied to the heart. Fine. So it is caused by the deposit of the calcium. So how it is caused? It is mainly caused due to the deposit of the calcium, fats and the cholesterol and the fibrous tissues, which makes the lumen of the arteries narrow. It makes the lumen of the arteries narrow. Fine. So this is the second disorder, that is coronary artery disease. Hope it is clear. One is high blood pressure and the one is the coronary artery disease. Next, third one is the angina pectoris. So angina, it is also called as angina pectoris. The symptoms of acute chest pain. So here you can find that acute chest pain it appears when there is no enough oxygen is reaching to the heart muscles. When sufficient oxygen is not reaching to the heart muscles, then this disease will occur. Fine. So angina can occur in men and the women of any age, but it is more common among the middle-aged and elderly people. It occurs due to the condition that affects the blood flow. It mainly caused due to the abnormal flow of the blood. That is the angina pectoris. Next comes the heart failure. So what happens in the heart failure? People are very much familiar and you heard that heart failure, heart attack and all. So heart failure and heart attack both are different. They are not the same. Heart failure means the state of heart when it stops pumping. Heart failure means when the heart stops, when heart it's a state when heart it is not pumping blood effectively enough to meet the needs of the body. When heart is not pumping the sufficient blood which is sufficient blood which is needed to our body, then we call it as a heart failure. Fine. Then it is sometimes also called as congestive heart failure because of the congestion of the lungs, and it is one of the main symptom of this disease. Fine. Heart failure is not same as that of the cardiac arrest or the heart attack. Cardiac arrest and heart attack is same, but heart failure and the heart attack, they are not same, they are different. So heart attack, it is mainly caused when the heart muscles are suddenly damaged by the inadequate blood supply. Fine. So what happens if the person suffered from the heart attack or the cardiac arrest? In the cardiac arrest, the heart stops beating, and in the heart attack, when the heart muscles are suddenly damaged. In heart attack, what happens? The heart muscles are suddenly damaged by an inadequate blood supply. Okay, by an inadequate blood supply, the heart muscles will get damaged. In the cardiac arrest, the heart stops beating. In the heart failure, what happens? Here the heart, where the sufficient blood is not pumped by the heart which is required for our body. Fine. So again in the angina pectoris, the heart pain is short duration, which is usually located in front of the chest. Fine. So these are the disorders of the circulatory system. Just you can have a glance once. One is the high blood pressure or the hypertension. So normal blood pressure, if it extends above the normal, then we call it as high blood pressure. Then we also saw low BP, high BP, low BP, you already know. If it is lesser than the normal blood pressure, that is lesser than the 120 by 80 mmHg, then we call it as the low BP. If it is more, then high BP. If it is less, then we call it as low BP. Fine. Then CAD, that is coronary artery diseases. It is mainly caused due to the deposition of calcium, fats and the cholesterol. Angina pectoris, heart failure, cardiac arrest, heart attack. Okay, so these are the disorders which are associated with the human circulatory system. Okay, hope it's clear to you. So Today's class we have discussed regarding the ECG. So ECG, it is important, the graphical representation for 3 marks. Fine, ECG you have to know. Then double circulation, even double circulation is also important for 5 marks question. So again here this double circulation mechanism, generally you have to know complete mechanism and diagram. Two types of double circulation, that is one is pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. Okay, this is a representation, diagrammatic representation of double circulation. So pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. So these are the different types. Portal system, one is renal portal system and hepatic portal system. And the last comes the disorders. Disorders of circulatory system: high blood pressure, CAD, angina pectoris, heart failure and the heart attack. Okay, is this clear? Hope all these concepts are clear to you regarding the body fluids and the circulation. Okay, so that's all about this chapter. And thank you dear, thank you everyone. Stay home, stay safe. See you in the next class with the new chapter. Thank you everyone.